Hi, everyone. My name is Justin Wolf. My country is Vietnam, and instead of doing the agricultural side and how agricultural products have defined the population, I wanted to instead focus on how the country itself is dealing with agriculture and where the country could go once it's beyond agriculture. So, my objective, I do want to explain how the Vietnam War shaped and changed the landscape. It did have a major impact on how things are done in the country. I also want to focus on the growing economy that has focused away from agriculture and the impacts that are presented from that. And then I also wanted to finish off with how one major move could definitely bring this nation into what would be considered first world. So some of the demographics, the area is about 128,000 square miles, slightly larger than New Mexico, and the population is about 91.7 million. To put that in perspective, California has just under 39 million and is quite a bit larger than Vietnam. And New Mexico, similar size, has just 2 million people. Granted, New Mexico is very arid climate and not very suitable for people to live in. It's not a oceanfront property that people are looking to move to. The GDP for 2014 for Vietnam was about $186.2 billion, and agriculture accounted for $26 billion of that. So agriculture does play a significant part in Vietnam. So I wanted to talk about the geography and agriculture. The northern part of Vietnam is very tropical, similar to the Amazon, if you will, whereas the southern portion is subtropical. Similar, I guess, in how it looks, temperature-wise and rainfall-wise, is where it really changes. So the two main agricultural areas are the Red River Delta and the Mekong River Delta. These two areas provide roughly 90% of all the agriculture that comes through as far as land-based agriculture. Being so close to the South China Sea and being a very thin country that spans across a very large water area, they do have a very large aquaculture area as well. A lot of the water that Vietnam has comes from mountain runoffs from China and Laos. This is both from melting glaciers in the summer, as well as the monsoon seasons that come through, depositing a lot of the water higher up into the elevation coming through Vietnam. So here's a picture of Vietnam to give you a better idea. Around here is where you're going to have the Red River Delta. Around Hanoi, that was the North Vietnam capital. Has since prospered, and the area definitely helps out. The Mekong River Delta is down here, closer to Ho Chi Minh, which during the Vietnam War was Saigon, which was the South Vietnamese capital. The Mekong River Delta has seen a lot of damage from water runoff, but still does help a lot with the agriculture of Vietnam. As you can see, I was talking about the long coastline. It does present a very large area. If I remember correctly, it's about $900 million in exports just to the United States from their seafood areas. So, the current economy is very well educated for the young generation. Back in the 1980s, the government decided to start giving the land back to the people. Communism usually takes control of all forms of land and manufacturing and then divvies the results to the population. 1980, Vietnam kind of started to move away from that, and they gave the land back to the people. This increased the area that was used for agriculture, as well as increased the yield. Getting back to the young generation, it's a very knowledgeable workforce. They're ranked in the top 10 as far as education per person. The skills gap is where it becomes an issue. You can have all the education in the world, but not having the hands-on experience with technology definitely makes it an issue. So the traditional path that they've been doing for a few generations is the memorization and understanding. They are very good at those two key aspects, but businesses in Vietnam right now are saying that it's really hard to find a younger person that understands group learning and problem solving. It's really hard to find someone that'll think outside of the box. They have since come up with a new education plan that they've gotten from Columbia that will focus on both of those, but they don't expect to see any real changes until the next generation when they can see the results of that training. The future definitely looks bright for Vietnam. So take away all the negative connotations that TPP gets from the United States, and it is a very good partnership for Vietnam. It allows the more technologically advanced countries such as the United States, Canada, Australia to work with Vietnam on building a technology infrastructure. This would basically mean that instead of Vietnam, which sells most of its products as raw agricultural products, this would allow them to process them into a finished good. That brings more jobs to Vietnam. It increases the cost of the items that they would sell and could in fact give them a lot more opportunities to make different products. This also comes with the cross-border integration. United States companies would be able to move into Vietnam and use the labor force in a way that would give them jobs, as well as increasing the profits from the United States companies that go there. So I wanted to end on this. These are my two lovely dogs. Peyton on the left, Denver on the right. Peyton is about 1.5 years, 130 pounds. Denver is about 3 months and 35 pounds. And this is my 5th time recording because they have either jumped on me, barked, or what have you to interrupt this. So I will be posting this and the slideshow. Thanks.